In the heart of Mecca, beneath the sacred shadow of the Kaaba, a quiet story of love and destiny was unfolding. It was not the tale of two powerful empires, nor of warriors on horseback. It was something gentler, something eternal. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was now a young man in his mid-20s, had known little comfort in life, orphaned as a child, raised by his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, and then under the guardianship of his uncle Abu Talib. His early years had been shaped by loss, humility, and a silent strength. But he has also earned something else, something rare: respect and trust. The people of Mecca called him Al-Ameen, the trustworthy one. Before he ever led men, he led sheep across the valleys of Ajiyat. Like every prophet before him, he lived as a shepherd, learning patience, gentleness, and courage. And in another corner of Mecca lived a woman of wisdom and wealth, Khadijah bint Khuwaylid, noble in lineage, vast in fortune, yet unmatched in grace and dignity. She had turned away the greatest men of Quraysh, not out of arrogance, but because none had stirred her heart, not yet. That day a conversation drifted into the room. Her elder sister, Hala, had just returned from settling the wages of two young shepherds. One of them, she said, was too shy to come in and ask for his pay. He sent the other one instead. Khadijah turned slightly. And what was his name? She said. The reply came without flourish, just a name like a whisper through time. Muhammad ibn Abdullah. The world doesn't change, not yet, but something inside her does. It was a name she had heard once or twice, but now it stayed with her. A man too shy to ask for his own wage in a city of men eager to boast. Something about that, about him, felt different. A quiet spark had been lit, not a fire, not yet, just the warmth, gentle and unsure. But the heart knows what the mind cannot yet name. Khadijah remained silent, her eyes lingering just a moment longer before returning to her work, but her thought remained elsewhere. Khadijah's caravan were her empire. Her trade routes stretched from the sands of Mecca to the bustling markets of Syria. And now her eyes searched for someone trustworthy enough to carry her next caravan north. She had hired many before and lost much in dishonesty and carelessness. But this time she chose Muhammad. She had never seen him, never spoken to him. She heard the praises of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. She decided to choose him for his trade journey, even though he was inexperienced when it came to business. He had never ever gone on a business trip himself, but because of his honesty, she decided to overlook this lack of experience and the lack of age. Something in her heart urged her forward. She sent her servant Maysara with the offer, and when Muhammad received it, he did not leap in haste. He turned instead to his uncle Abu Talib. "O my uncle," he said, "Khadijah has made me an offer to manage her caravan. What do you advise?" Abu Talib smiled. "She is the most noble and the respected woman in Mecca. This is an opportunity sent by Allah. Accept it, my son," he said. And so he did, not for riches, not for fame, but for trust and dignity. They departed together, a young man, a servant, and a caravan full of trade. The journey to Syria was long and unforgiving. The desert's wind whispered tales of traders past, and each sunrise brought them deeper into the unfamiliar lands. For Muhammad, this was his first venture so far from Mecca. He had known only the jagged hills of Hijaz, the winding alleys of Quraysh, and the simplicity of a shepherd life. But now a new world unfolded before his eyes. The air turned cooler, the horizon broadened. Olive trees lined the path, streams tickled gently between stones. The sky, once harsh and empty, now hung over lush valleys and blooming orchards. To a young man raised in the heat and dust of Mecca, this land must have felt like a quiet miracle. And yet, it was he who brought the true barakah. Maysara watched. He had traveled with many men, but none like him. Where others cursed the sun, he walked in calm. Where others grew restless, he remained composed. In the busy markets of Busra, Muhammad proved unlike any trader. He did not cheat. He did not exaggerate. He treated every customer with dignity, and when the day was done, he had double the profits. When they returned to Mecca, Maysara hurried to Khadijah. He spoke of Prophet's honesty, his gentle strength. He did not lie. He did not cheat. He treated strangers like kin, and he made a lot of profit. And as he spoke, Khadijah listened. Her sister had once said, "I have not seen a man more chaste, more modest, more noble in character. And now this." Her heart already holding a quiet love she could no longer ignore. There was no doubt now. She knew what she felt, and for the first time in her life, she let her heart lead the way. "I cannot explain it," she said. "It is the light in him, like none I have seen before." Nafisa looked at her, smiling gently.
"Would you like me to speak to him?"
Khadijah lowered her gaze, not in shyness, but in sincerity. "Yes, but only if you would want to." In the early light of the morning, Nafisa walked quietly, her face thoughtful, determined. She arrived at the home of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was in his home, a modest space, tucked between stone walls, a place of simplicity and calm. She greeted him with warmth and familiarity, an old family friend trusted by both sides. And after the usual pleasantries, she looked at him and said gently, "O Muhammad, why don't you marry?" Muhammad, sitting quietly, he smiled faintly, almost caught off guard. His eyes drifted down, not in sadness, but in humility. He replied with honesty, "Who would marry me?" he said. "I am but an orphan, with no wealth to offer." Nafisa smiled. She leaned in slightly, her voice soft, sincere. "What if Khadijah were interested?" A long pause, silence fills the air. Muhammad lifts his gaze. His expression changes. Not disbelief, but quiet surprise. "Khadijah?" he whispered. "But why would she choose me?" In that moment, something stirred within him too. She was known to him, a woman of dignity, of purity, of unmatched strength. He had always shown her respect, but now admiration began to rise like a morning sun. Not because of her wealth, not her status, but because she had seen something in him when no one else did. Later that evening, the Prophet spoke to Abu Talib, his beloved uncle. They sat on mat near a lamp, the light casting warm glow across their faces. Muhammad shared with him the offer, hesitant, humble, and Abu Talib listened with a proud, almost fatherly gaze. and he placed his hand on his nephew's shoulder and said, "She is among the noblest of Quraysh. Allah has opened a door for you. Do not close it." The proposal was accepted. In the house of Khadijah bint Khuwaylid, preparation began. The news had quietly spread among the Quraysh. The Khadijah, the noble daughter of Quraysh, had chosen to marry Muhammad ibn Abdullah, a man with no riches, no political title, only a heart of unmatched purity. But that was all she ever needed. Khadijah's uncle, Amr ibn Asad, was her guardian that day, and representing the groom came the elder of the Banu Hashim, Abu Talib. He stood before the gathering. His voice was firm, proud, echoing with dignity.
All praise is due to Allah, who granted us the guardianship of his sacred house. My nephew, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, is among the best youth of Makkah in nobility and honor. He has proposed to your noble daughter Khadijah, and we offer a mare of 20 camels.
A modest but sincere offering for a man of character. Khadijah's uncle rises slowly with a gentle smile.
"We accept, for this is a young man whom no one can refuse."
And with those words, two hearts were united, two souls destined for a mission far beyond the walls of Mecca were now husband and wife. This was no ordinary union. It was the joining of strength and gentleness, of wisdom and compassion, of trust and unwavering faith. For the next 25 years, Khadijah would be not just his wife, but his partner in dawah, his refuge in trial, and the first believer in his message. And he never took another wife during her lifetime. Their home would soon echo with the laughter of children and carry the gentle memories of a life lived in peace. For the next few years, life flowed with quiet simplicity. Muhammad continued to work with honesty and diligence, guiding caravans, dealing in trade, always earning the trust of those who knew him. Khadijah, ever graceful and wise, tended to their home with devotion and love. Their house was filled with warmth, the laughter of children echoing through its walls. They were blessed with sons and daughters, Al-Qasim, Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, Fatima, and Abdullah. Though some of them would return to their Lord in early childhood, their presence brought joy, even if only for a time. Their life was not just one of a luxury, but it was full of barakah. The Prophet lived simply, eating little, giving much. He spent time with his family, helped in the house, and remained far from the noise of arrogance and the idle gathering of Makkah's elite. Years passed like a gentle breeze, no revelation, no divine signs, just the quiet rhymes of a family living with sincerity and love. But peace was only a calm before the storm. In the stillness of the cave, away from the world, away from even his beloved, he began to search. Not for trade, not for status, but for truth. And then one night it came, not a whisper, not a dream, but a voice unlike any other, the voice of revelation.